At that time, I hated my parents and questioned their decision. I asked them what kind of parents send their child to a church they themselves don't even attend.
Quand ça se complique, je t'évite, c'est die, die, die. Je pourrais t'attendre si t'es concentré. Bébé, tout laid, je vais pas trop parler. Si on s'aime.
My childhood was okay, but it was also painful. I was very sick growing up, and my parents had to take me from one prophet to another, even consulting traditional doctors. While growing up, I knew that I had a gift. I realized this when I was 5 years old because each time I come across people who were evil or witches, I would see them in their true form. I remember one incident at school when I was in sub A. I had a friend whom I loved dearly, and she loved me as well. One day she suggested that we visit her brother's class. When we arrived, I saw a huge demon coming out of his back with red eyes. The moment we locked eyes, he knew that I could see him. Immediately, he told his sister to stop being friends with me because I was not good for her. My friend threw tantrums, but he insisted, saying, even if you cry, this one is a no-go area. You can't be friends with her. He pushed her away from me, and I felt so terrible as a child. When I got home, I couldn't tell anyone because deep in my spirit I knew they wouldn't understand. In my quiet moments, I would ask God why He made me this way. Then the Holy Spirit spoke to me saying, it's because you are gifted and not like any other person. As a child, I hated myself because I didn't understand why I was different. Then the Holy Spirit also told me, you are going to be bullied, but I will give you peace. You will never know what anger feels like until you're 16 years old. That comforted me. Indeed, throughout primary school and high school, I never felt pain from bullying, nor did I retaliate. At home, I was known as a very shy child who never talked back. At the age of 16, when I was baptized, God's grace was still upon me. After my baptism, the Holy Spirit said, now it's time to build a relationship with God and be of God. By then, I already knew what it means to have a relationship with God. However, I was rebellious in spirit and did not want to acknowledge my gift because I felt like it would prevent me from living life on my own terms. That was my biggest mistake. Looking back, I remember when I was 6 years old and my health was poor. One day I walked into my father's room while he was praying, desperately asking God to save me. At that moment, I knew that as long as my father was alive, no evil spirit could touch me. After my 16th birthday, I started taking my father's prayers for granted. I became lazy, stopped praying, and neglected reading the Bible despite my father's warning. Around that time, the Holy Spirit told me, you have to pray for the man you are going to marry because he is not a born again. He is partying like nobody's business. That was a direct order. And I obeyed. However, I told God, I will do it now. But once I meet this person, he will have to continue the prayer and I will rest. I want to enjoy life, my family, and just go to church and be in the choir because I love music. No more intense prayer and fasting. Deep down, I knew I was serious about this decision. I felt like I never had the chance to enjoy my childhood like any other kids out there. I also noticed that my parents raised me differently from my siblings. I was the only child who had to leave home at the age of 12 when they made a major decision about my life, changing it completely. That was when I was introduced to the church that shaped me into who I am today. At that time, I hated my parents and questioned their decision. I asked them what kind of parents send their child to a church they themselves don't even attend. But they were very firm, insisting that is where you will find life and where you will grow. Now I understand why they were so strict with me. Before I was born, they had lost 4 children at a young age. So, at that time when I was 12 years old, they had to take me from one place to the other, consulting this person and that person. It was devastating and I didn't like it. I didn't like how I felt back then. I would say it was fine, even though some of them didn't understand why I had to go to that church. And some even disliked it because we weren't allowed to wear trousers in that church. Even now, I can tell that we are different people, but we understand each other.